Little boy dressed in green. Don't move a muscle. And I'll let you keep your limbs.
On the next all-new episode of My Hero Academia.
This sniper was hired by All for One.
I said don't move. Why bother running when you're already mine?
My Hero Academia. Saturday at midnight. Only Toonami on Adult Swim.
We won't be intimidated by criminal threats.
Every Saturday night at midnight, Adult Swim is building you a better cartoon show.
We call it Toonami.
You're about to witness something extraordinary. Let's get cooking. All right.
Is this the new normal? The dangerous future we're heading towards?
Relax. It's more fun this way.
It sends chills down my spine.
Toonami, every Saturday night, starting at midnight.
On Adult Swim.
The following program may contain coarse language, suggestive dialogue, and discussion of violent imagery and sexual situations. It is intended for mature listeners who can tell the difference between facts and opinions.
We're asking who's the real villain here on this episode of the Toonami Faithful Podcast. I am your host, Sketch, and with me I have...
Editor-in-Chief of ToonamiFaithful.com, CJ Maffris.
And...
Editorial Writer, LaserKid.
And...
Editorial Writer and Ray of Sunshine, Umeko.
Yes, and we're very glad to have you here for this conversation about the first part of Season 6 of My Hero Academia. There's no way we could be doing it without you, so thanks for joining us.
You're welcome.
And thank you also for joining us, CJ. I know you've been a busy boy lately.
Yeah. Honestly, stupid reasons, but, reasons nonetheless, so.
Fair. And Laser's always here, because he's my recorder.
I'm happy to be here. You might just say, I am here.
Yes.
But I am not here in the show.
We are all here to witness as the heroes go up against the United Liberation whatchamacallits in a joint effort to take down two major bases at once. And, well, they're not exactly successful. Not where it counts. And there's a whole lot of destruction that is wrought. And you might ask yourself, they brought teenagers to this?
Sure did.
They absolutely did.
I know it's a Shonen Jump manga, and it follows in the footsteps of things like Naruto in that regard, but really? You bringing kids to this? Yikes.
Mm-hmm. All the children babies.
But
that's how short-handed they were.
To their credit, they did implement some of them very well. Like Kaminari was really great to have on the front lines to deal with that one guy's electric powers. Smart move there. Smart move there. And the rare Kaminari win. Let's let him have it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's let Kaminari have it.
I mean, It was very nice to see. He's one of my favorite side characters, and it's good to give him a moment.
Mm-hmm. Well, after all this time, it sure is nice to see the good doctor get his.
Oh, screw that guy. Whew.
Oh, he's terrible.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. But the probably biggest major event that happens towards the beginning of this, as the heroes are storming in various areas, and Hawks finally shows his true colors. After all this time, his goal was to do away with one of the villains that could have changed the war completely. And that, of course, is Twice.
Yeah.
He didn't want to do it, but he felt he had to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And Dobby shows up and says, and I took exception to that. And I took that personally.
Yep.
But as we soon find out, Dobby's just kind of looking for an opportunity to stir some stuff up.
Yeah, I don't think he cares at all.
Nah.
Does not.
Not really, no. But the other villains are like, oh man, they killed Twice. How could they do that? How could they call themselves heroes when they killed our friend Twice?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. It made me very, very sad the first time I experienced this in the manga. Just, ow.
Me too. That was very, very sad about Twice.
It is. I mean, obviously, he's working for the bad guys, but he always seemed like a good guy.
Just because you're a bad guy doesn't mean you have to be bad guy.
Exactly. Yeah, he just wanted a place to belong, and he found the wrong place to belong, unfortunately. And true to his character, he valued his friendships so much that even though he realized that he was either going to die or succeed in that moment, he just gave it his all. But Hawks knew that he could not let him live if he would not cooperate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate, but no right answers here.
Yeah, there's a lot of no right answers in this storyline, I'd say.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a theme here. But it's something I really enjoy because you really get to examine, okay, well, what's going on? Who are these people? How do you do anything, you know? And what I find the most interesting here is you do the best you can. And everyone's going to have a different answer on what that is.
That's true. It's just like nothing is black and white. Like absolutely nothing. So you just do what you can.
Now, what's your take, CJ?
About what part exactly? Because I'm not sure what to chime in, honestly. Because you guys have already been kind of catching the same type of thing that I was at least doing. There are no right answers. Hero, and it's, you know, it's a good way of kind of painting. I don't know what the right word necessarily is, but it's the foundation of this type of conflict, and not necessarily like the fist fights that we're used to with My Hero Academia, but the type of like societal norms or, you know, societal pressures are now coming to a full tilt because of, I guess you could even say back when Stain first started, obviously, when Dobby, you know, we learn more about his backstory and the whole reason why he was doing what he was doing. You know, Spinner obviously mentioning how Stain also influenced him a lot more and saw a lot of that within Shigaraki as well. So, you know, you have this charismatic, dangerous, very easy to latch on, and you could even call it like extremist view with Stain that's kind of come to a full head as it's kind of been festering and not quite snuffed out to what we have. And you guys are right, like Twice, yeah, he was a villain, but I never really saw him as like a huge threat and could see the person more on the rehabilitation side of it, maybe. I don't know. And then, you know, Hawks having to do the dirty job. And as bad as it sounds, I don't necessarily blame Hawks, right? Like, right now, with how society has it, Twice was in the wrong with who he was aligning to. While Twice himself might have been someone who would be easy to save, you know, or even, you know, rehabilitate, you know, see if he can go on the straight and narrow, whatnot. Hawks is kind of left in a very precarious situation where he has to make a call And while personally I don't agree with the call, I'm not necessarily vilifying him for it either. But it just makes it for a messy thing, and sadly, it kind of falls into the plans of what Dobby wanted, as well as, well, maybe more so All for One instead. But like, Dobby had his own ambitions with it as well. And so, you have this very, very interesting kind of dynamic where you're having, civilians kind of go against the heroes. Nothing was more poignant than seeing that, I am not here with, the All Might statue. So you're kind of hitting a pivotal moment in, the history of My Hero Academia, of what is it that society wants. Now, they may think they're upset with the heroes, and I can understand being upset with some. I mean, obviously with Endeavor's, skeletons and dirty laundry out there, that there's nothing wrong with being upset with that and wanting to move away. But it comes to a head where if you're really going to lash out against all the heroes and the hero society that we built, do realize what the world was like before All Might even like cleaned it up, because it was not good. We can say all we want about the other, previous users of, All Might's quirk, but I dare say All Might was the best, because like even Stain was like, no, All Might's legit, which should tell you something, considering that, a lot of the villains are kind of in that same boat. They feel a lot more brazen and a lot more empowered because All Might isn't around. Let's not forget that. So it's kind of, it's going to be, it's funny to say, it's going to be up to the regular civilians who aren't heroes who are going to become the heroes of this, because whatever they decide to do, that's probably where things are going to go. And you can look at that throughout history too. You can see that with all types of revolutions, whether they be good or bad, depending on, the side of history, as well as doing the research on it. So it's a fascinating type of reference, I guess, to that type of storytelling, because I mean, when we get right down to it, a lot of that stuff is kind of like folklore and stories. So it'll be interesting. It's very riveting. Maybe a little over dramatization for my type of liking, and maybe a little bit too drawn out. I don't know. There's parts during, the whole disaster that was going on where it felt kind of like bogged down a bit. I don't know. And maybe I feel that way now because we're getting 2 episodes per Saturday. So it's like a lot of things are kind of like moving along better, at least the past few weeks. But I don't know. It's an interesting type of direction that the story wanted to go. Not that I dislike it. It seems kind of, I guess, inevitable. Because I mean, you had this with, and I'm pardon my ignorance, because I'm not big on like Western superhero comics, but I mean, you had this with Marvel with Civil War, and not the movies. I'm talking about the actual comic of Civil War, where what happened that sparked the whole thing was that heroes that were, teenagers, maybe their early 20s, go on and take on a villain they really should have waited for backup and a more experienced person. And it ended up causing a huge disaster that exploded. Like, many children died. It was at a school, all the bad stuff. And it called for, a lot of politicians were calling for reform, training them, having it like a government agency instead of, freelance vigilantism that was going around. And you had, both arguments going and coming to a head with, led by Captain America, against registration, with Iron Man for it. Although Iron Man's motives on that was a little so, and like I said, you could draw comparisons with what seems to be coming down the line with My Hero Academia, with how current events are going in that story. But it seems a bit like this was always something that was going to come up, because I mean it's rather easy, and I'm not blaming the direction of My Hero Academia doing it. So I just wonder, how is it going to differentiate between that similar type of feel? And it might, because like I don't know, I'm not as familiar with this part. I've stopped reading for quite some time. But it's an oldie but goodie type of trope and kind of storytelling that you see in this type of genre. So I don't have as strong of feelings for it. It's just, I don't know, it's just there, and I kind of expected it, as opposed to other stuff with it. So I don't know.
Yeah. Vigilantes don't seem like they would be, appreciated in this society. I've actually, I know that there was the My Hero Vigilantes, spinoff, which I'm sure is really interesting stuff, and I kind of hope it gets animated someday. I think you can read that on the Shonen Jump app.
Absolutely.
I believe so
with the subscription. Yeah. But I think some vigilanteism is in the future, but we're not there yet. Lots of things happen in this arc. Obviously, Shigaraki manages to survive. He doesn't wake up fully powered, but he's still extremely powerful, just ridiculously powerful. Because not only does he have these multiple quirks, one of which can actually decimate a whole area now, and we see how far that can reach. But beyond that, he's also just super strong and durable, just so he's some kind of opponent once they can steal his quirk powers away using Aizawa. It's kind of... Well, it's over the top to be sure, but it's kind of like, oh, we're really going here, huh? We just got to make him like super strong and super durable so that we can't take him out in like an instant. Could have maybe come up with more interesting ways to make it so he couldn't use his powers as effectively. But it is fine as it is, I suppose. And it definitely was an epic battle with a lot of action, a lot of fighting, and a lot of conflicting of ideals. It was certainly epic. Potentially could have played out differently. Is all I'm saying.
But it was still fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was still interesting to see how they pulled in the UA students in all of this this battle, like, because this is the biggest battle that they've been involved in, despite other stuff that they've been involved with when it came to the League of Villains. But yeah, it's just interesting to see them try to really back up the heroes this time and putting them in this position to where, they were supposed to be evacuating citizens, but as you see, they had to actually fight, really, really fight. Like their lives are really, really in danger. So I know that, as we will see, that did have an impact on them.
Having to fight Gigantomachia in particular, yikes.
Yes.
He's
yeah.
What? Speaking of overpowered, what can't that guy do? It's crazy. He seems to have multiple quirks. He's super strong, super durable, surprisingly fast for as big as he is. It's just crazy. It's like a super fast mountain. And props to the kids for pulling through there in dire situations. I mean, they were the ones that ultimately led to the defeat of that monstrosity, because they managed to get some of the what is that called?
It was some kind of tranquilizer.
Tranquilizer. Yeah.
That had to whip up a batch real quick and try to take
me
out.
Just forgetting common words.
It's fine.
So though I appreciate a good moment for Red Riot, but he's had some moments. It's such a bummer that Mina didn't succeed.
Yeah, I wanted her to so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the booby prize that not the booby prize. It's the silver medal that he threw hers. And the only reason that he succeeded is because he had her tranquilizer too.
Mm-hmm.
But come on, give Mina a win. speaking of giving the female characters a win, okay, I understand why they would have Ochako and, to a lesser extent, Sue dealing with crazy girl.
Oh,
Toga.
God.
Toga. But I don't know. It didn't feel like a very good utilization of those characters in that moment. Though I do think that the very different ideals of Ochako and Toga are something worth exploring. I'm to understand that this was a longer experience in the manga.
Yeah.
This is kind of shortened a bit for the anime adaptation, unfortunately.
A little bit, I'd say a little bit. What I really take out of this, she goes out of, losing twice, which hits her about as hard as it hits the audience, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
She's trying to find out how she should react to this, how she should feel about it, and she doesn't know. And it's like, but aren't you the heroes? Aren't you supposed to not do that sort of thing? I don't understand.
Yes.
And unfortunately, Ochako gets pissed off because, understandably, because Toga's creepy, weird, and also, murdered people.
Yeah, murdered people just to have this conversation with her.
Mm-hmm. And so she's like, yeah, if I had to kill you to save people, yeah. And it's like, oh, okay, well, then I got it. And it's just like, whoosh over Toga's head the context, but unfortunately it kind of sets her on her ways, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if she was going to actually manage to get through to Toga. Toga's
not likely, but not impossible.
Yeah. Definitely seems like a situation where the character would try. But,
yeah.
Yeah. But, oh boy. Ochako goes through some stuff here, She's right there in the aftermath trying to help people as best that she can, and she sees the other heroes, one in particular, just being like, I quit. I can't handle this. This is too much. This is too much for anybody. It's like, woof. Mood.
Yeah, it really was a lot. Like I said, for teenagers to see all this going on and being a part of it, it's too much. So
it is. I mean, I know they signed up for this, so to speak, but still, it's
still gonna have an impact, though.
Oh, absolutely. As we see in the aftermath, shout out to the cast for delivering that moment when they find out that Miss Midnight is no longer among the living.
Oh, that was sad.
It made more sense in the anime to me, but in the manga, I'm just like, I had no idea that she died until they said she died. Here, it's like, having hindsight, looking back, I'm like, I can also with the amazing delivery, you can definitely tell she's fading.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice to give Compress a win, but it'd have to be that. Jeez.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah. That's also took out Majestic. And a bunch of other heroes that we basically didn't know about until this story arc.
We almost lost Aizawa.
Yeah, almost. Oh, man, Aizawa. Look.
Yeah.
Even Shigaraki's like, Aizawa, you're such a badass. Cutting off your own leg.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a smart move, I suppose, in the circumstances. He might be able to get his leg back. They got crazy powers in this situation, but if he lost his powers, well, maybe he could get them back, as we see for somebody else. But, ooh, in that moment, all he's thinking is, I can't let this stop me right now. Let's just not think about how unlikely it is he'd be able to chop off his own leg with that knife.
Yeah.
He's not like super strong, but maybe it's a really sharp knife, like the kind of blade that can cut Superman. We know all about those. It's apparently somebody had an axe with like some kind of blade that can cut Superman. Sure.
Mhm.
Sure. Shout out to the MVP of the fight, the guy who could just keep Aizawa's eyes open and moisturized.
Manuel, the most awesome character we barely get to see, and then suddenly, hey, good combo.
Yeah. That was fun. I mean, it makes sense. He does deal with a lot of eye strain, so still to be that guy's got nerves of steel to be able to do that in that situation.
Absolutely.
Bravo to him. Oof. Yikes. Yeah. And hey, Mount Lady finally did something. She's not just a cute ass.
Well, you'd have to ask Fat Gum about that one.
Yes.
Birdie ain't coming.
That was funny.
It's nice to see her. Yeah. Oh, Fat Gum. We all wish you were you.
No, I wish
not really.
He could tuck me away in his little.
Yeah,
I think you broke sketch.
Tuck me away.
Fat Taxi, man. What a power.
Fat Taxi.
What a power. Rest inside of me, Tokuyomi.
He's like, get up in here.
Get in my belly.
And he was like, what?
Oh, this is something you can do, I guess. Ooh, yeah. Shiny moment for Tokuyomi, rushing in to save his mentor, Hawks. Very cool.
Yeah, it was. Because you know how much he looks up to Hawks, so he was going to do whatever he could to save him, get him out of there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And man, Mirako can fight.
Yes, she can.
Damn.
Yes, she can.
She is the killer bunny rabbit.
My favorite line out of the entire set of episodes here. What's up, Doc?
I was going to say that. And I laughed so hard when she bust through there. And she said, what's up, Doc?
It was beautiful. Funny. It was absolutely beautiful. You can't change my mind.
Excellent job, Inaris. Excellent job.
Oh, yeah. Inaris did a wonderful job. And I was looking forward to her like that scene. I was just waiting for her to execute on that. She did not disappoint.
Oh, those gnomes are so freaking messed up.
Oh, gosh. Yes.
And one of them's called Girl. She might be the one with breasts.
You think?
No.
Very original, Horikoshi. Very original. Very original. Okay. Yeah. Man. Garaki certainly has quite a lot of freak shows that's sadly were all unleashed, and it's a whole big old mess. When you need something to deter the heroes, Nomus will do it every time.
Yeah, they were creepy and weird. And could talk.
And now we know that those used to be heroes or villains or somebody with a quirk, and it's oof. Really,
that
really
whole setup was
disturbing thing to think about.
That whole setup was just disturbing.
Yeah. That doctor's a sicko.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But is he the
He's
biggest
the perfect
sicko?
right-hand man.
Yeah, really. Yeah. All for One couldn't ask for a better ally, really.
For real.
Because they're both keeping each other alive, right? Is that how that works?
I believe so.
Something like that.
It's
I
something
believe
like
so.
that for yeah.
Because he's like, I forget how old he truly is. But yeah, he gave him, I think, some kind of quirk that keeps him, basically keeps him alive.
He is really old because it's been 7 generations of One for All. Hasn't it?
Yes, it has. And people have actually noticed something that is always interesting whenever we talk about the Doctor. This is the same Doctor that said that Deku had no quirk.
Yeah. I picked that up when we finally revealed it.
There's been theories that he may have stolen Deku's quirk at some point.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go into that. I wasn't gonna go into that, but yeah,
honestly, it doesn't matter.
It really doesn't, and honestly, I don't think so.
Based on Deku's parents, Deku's quirk wouldn't have been anything sensational anyway.
Which is why I don't think it would have been taken. And he had a general practice. He had to, hide. Yeah. So it makes perfect sense that he'd feel like, oh, you got no quirk.
He was a beloved member of the medical team over at that hospital. Everyone's like, why are you going after the good doctor? We got some tea to spill for you.
His shady ass.
He's got this whole evil laboratory underneath this facility. You never noticed? I guess he's pretty good.
We couldn't go down there.
Well, they did use little Johnny for transporting. Yeah. Little Johnny sacrificed himself for the good doctor.
He's so proud.
He was over there crying and everything. That was just
Nomus are both disturbing and also just sad creatures.
Yeah.
Creepy.
Not a fan. Not a fan. So yeah. Let's talk about Dabi.
Yes, let us.
Umeko, please.
Oh boy.
Proceed.
This is gonna be fun.
Okay. So that little reveal where Dabi comes out of nowhere, has some water, pours it on his head. You see his hair go from black to white and say, hey, you couldn't recognize your own son? You know me. I'm Toya Todoroki. I'm your oldest son. You don't recognize me?
The worst kept spoiler in Hero Academia history. Everyone guessed this.
Yes. Everybody picked up on this. So, because when I read this in the manga, I was like, oh yeah, well, this is true. And and of course the shock on Endeavor's face. Disgusting human being. And of course Shoto's like, what? And then to make matters worse, he makes a video, pre-recorded video that he just shares with the entire world to say, hey everybody, my name is Toya Todoroki. Endeavor's my daddy. I done killed all these people. And let me let you know about my folks. And he was just basically just told the whole family business about how Endeavor basically was trying to outdo All Might. So he got with the mom and was just trying to make the perfect hero to surpass All Might. And, just like I said, just spilled all the tea on Endeavor and everything that they went through. And just the look on Endeavor's face made me laugh, of course, because Endeavor is just a trash person. And just and then Toya, of course, is there like, hey, here I am. You thought I was dead, but I'm not. And I was like, and then he was like, dang, that Nomu didn't kill you. whenever I sent them to you, whenever he was fighting whenever he got that scar on his face. It's like, dang, that didn't take you out. And he was like, well, here I am. I'm going to try to kill you. And, oh, your little precious Shoto, that was your perfect creation. Well, I'm going to try to kill him too. So, I like this moment because any moment for me to trash Endeavor, I love. And because he's a garbage human being, to basically pick someone to be like, hey, marry me so I can try to create the perfect child to have the perfect quirk. And then to know that, the anime, well, Toonami hasn't gotten there yet, but we do explore more into the Todorokis. So I'm trying not to go too deep yet, but it does explore more about, that part of the family of Toya, from basically, it gets deeper into him being born all the way up to whenever his death supposedly happened. But it was just, and an Endeavor was just there. He was shook. He couldn't move. He couldn't do anything. And basically Shoto is like, come on, Endeavor, Dad, I need for you to do, just basically, hey, I need for you to snap out of this and do something, because he's about to kill us. So it was just the look on Shoto's face and how he is trying his best to keep it together and trying to snap Endeavor out of it. Like, hey, come on, I need your head in the game. I know that's basically my brother, your oldest son, but he is trying to kill us. I need for you to pull it together, and you're supposed to be the number one hero, so come on. And another thing that Toya was very strategic at doing was showing Hawks and what Hawks did when it came to Twice. And on top of trashing Endeavor, he had his own little plan on to expose the heroes and saying, hey, these heroes they're trash too, or basically, in his own way saying they're no better than us because look what they're doing. And I think that kind of played into the public's new perspective on the heroes and what makes, them kind of like, forget the heroes, we'll just take care of ourselves. And yeah. I think that was, so that makes me feel like, hey, when it came to this arc, who really won?
Obviously, the villains.
Like, who really won? I think it was the villains.
There was one hanging thread that Dobby should have looked into before announcing a certain hero's demise.
Yeah.
Is he actually dead?
Oh! Hawks killed Best Genus. It proves he's a terrible person. Is that Best Genus?
Oh, him and his
My
hair.
death was greatly exaggerated.
I've always loved that moment in the manga, anime. Oh god, it's amazing to watch. Just like it's a definition of the meme. Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
And it does ruin Dobby's plan in a sense, or at least hurts his credibility. Because if he wants to look like this, Saint or the new Stain, to be able to influence and kind of break apart what the heroes have been trying to establish throughout all this time, order, justice, yada yada yada. Having him look like a liar, having him a liar and put that at the forefront, that will at least put some seeds like, well, yeah, the heroes could be doing a little better, but they're at least being upfront, and they're obviously not always upfront. A lot of stuff is held under wraps. Just look at like Hawks's mission, right? But having Dobby's kind of credibility take a little bit of a hit is definitely a bigger issue than he probably thinks at the moment.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna hurt his case to cancel all the heroes. He could still cancel Endeavor though, very easily.
That one's easy. Like there's, you could literally do no wrong in trying to get that to happen. It's just the fact that he doesn't want to just stop there. It's nice to have, that's like the foundation of his kind of, Revenge Sunday, I guess. I don't know how to phrase it, but losing that type of credibility when he wants to add more like chaos into the world, that actually goes against it, because like people will then rally around that, which is not a good thing. Which is like, maybe I'm overly analyzing and overlooking, or making a big deal out of that aspect of it. But I think it could play something a little more pivotal, because what do the villains want? Less support for the heroes. Well, if you're lying to them, that's not going to get you support.
That's true.
That's that. They pulled one over on old Dobby there, but I gotta say, I don't know how it played out in the manga. I kind of hope that Best Jeanist didn't show up until like that moment, because in the anime, when you see the plane flying over, I'm like, oh, it's kind of a so-so reveal.
Yeah, that was a lot more of a, oh hey, by the way, he's alive in the manga.
But an astounding reveal was Lemillion back on the battlefield.
Like my sweet little jelly bean.
We were told by Night Eye that this would happen.
Yep. Eri was finally able to use her quirk to turn back time on Mirio and get him his quirk back. Does feel a little early, though.
It was convenient.
Almost.
Thank you. Yes, we said it.
Rather convenient.
Very convenient.
Mirio's a pretty skilled guy. I feel like he could have been doing more without his powers, but he never really... I mean, we don't really get to see if he did, but it seems like he was just kind of laying low until he got his powers back, which is... I don't know. It's something about that doesn't feel right to me. But
he could have definitely done more.
Oh, I completely agree.
But yeah, it's great to see him come back here and really help in that final moment, because at that point, everybody else on that battlefield is like trashed beyond. They've all gone beyond plus ultra.
Yeah, and don't forget about Bakugo.
Baku bro coming in to save Midoriya.
Heck yeah.
You don't have to ask me about that sketch. I've already written about it.
It's about dang time. And it's interesting because you see how it mirrors when Midoriya ran to save Bakugo from the slime creature.
Very first episode.
And you even have that call back to him saying, in that moment, my body just moved on its own.
Yep.
And that would have been, honestly, really cool if it was like more of a sacrifice, but he's fine. But still, good moment for Katsuki. Good moment.
Yeah, because I would have never guessed in a million years he would do that.
No. If you asked me in season 1 if this would happen, I'd laugh at you.
Like, what?
Speaking of things that are laughable, his hero name.
Oh my god.
And the greatest thing is that Ida says the whole thing.
Yes. The entire thing.
Even though he thinks it's so stupid, he respects him enough to say the whole thing every time.
And I had the reaction that Mirio did. I was like, ha!
That's cool. Everybody's just going to call him Dynamite.
No, you have to say the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a Tribe Called Quest.
Called Quest. Yes, you get to say the whole thing like a Tribe Called Quest. Yes.
Oh man. Oh man. Yeah.
Shout out to the Boondocks.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to the Boondocks. Always. Always. Yeah. Yeah. It's a big fight. To his credit, Endeavor pulls out all the stops to try to defeat Shigaraki. And it's very important that he did that because they definitely couldn't have willed him down as much as they did without Endeavor. However, of course, this is Midoriya's story.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all gotta come back to Midoriya.
Of course.
He knows, even though it's absolutely reckless to enter this battlefield, he's the one that Shigaraki wants. And he can use that to draw Shigaraki away from the rest of the populace. A very dangerous thing to do, but that is just the way Midoriya does things.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course, Endeavor is like, what are you doing, kid? Are you freaking crazy? I can't tell you why, but I'm the one he wants. Oh yeah, sure, I'll believe that. Well, it does seem to be the case. So they all kind of agree to it pretty quick. But man, and boy, oh boy, it's been a while since we've seen Midoriya go all out.
Oh yeah.
Because, the doctors are like, if you break your arms one more time.
I keep expecting him to say you'll shoot your eye out.
It's a good thing he's got a whole arsenal of different quirks to help him out in these situations. Oh, both of my arms are broken. My legs are trashed. It's okay. I can use float and black whip.
Yes.
Oh, that's true. It seems like a bit of a stretch. And did we mention he's got the danger sense?
I see what you did there.
Which he can't control yet because he never can control these things right out the gate.
Of course not.
And yeah, right now it's just giving him migraines, though I'm sure it'll be useful at some point.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the best time to get that power activated since there's just chaos happening all around
everywhere.
At the
Yeah,
time.
Mm-hmm.
It's yeesh. Yeah, and of course, much of this battle is in the mind, as Midoriya is dragged into the world of One for All and All for One, and the different vessels have a nice conversation.
Nice.
About everything.
Nice conversation, you say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And just when Shigaraki thinks he's in control, the old man pulls himself out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That he do.
But apparently... Go ahead.
It's something that Bakugo called All for One in the manga that I really want to call him, but
oh god.
But I don't want to, I want to see if he actually says it in the anime, but whenever I read that, I died laughing because I was like, well, yeah, that is what he looks like. But yeah, so every time I see him, that's the first thing I think about what Bakugo called him.
I'm glad that this didn't turn into kind of a creepier Shigaraki calling Midoriya little brother situation.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, that would have been weird.
Yeah. So they are connected in interesting ways.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, he All for One thinks he's finally going to be able to steal One for All, finally. But they're like, yeah, nope, we're staying with this kid. But why would you stay with this kid? Because he's the protagonist. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
That is why he's worthy. I mean, that's not exactly why he's worthy, but you know.
We all know.
We all know. Yeah. But even after all this destruction, and at the end there, all Midoriya's thinking is Shigaraki seemed like he needed help.
That's such a Midoriya thought.
It is.
It is, but we all understand as the audience that yes, Shigaraki definitely needs help. Whether or not he's willing to take it is the big question.
Mm-hmm.
He needs help in a padded cell.
Yeah, but those things aren't as durable as you might think.
That's true.
Gotta get down.
I sense a segue coming.
Yeah. Well, even after all of this destruction, all of this madness, and all this pain and suffering that the heroes have gone through, that the villains have gone through, All For One's like, yeah, I'm not going to give them a break. Let's go break my real body out of jail. And let's bust out a bunch of other super powerful quirk people too. And just let chaos reign.
This is on brand.
This really this really reminds me, this jailbreak really reminds me of the Insidious 6 episode of Spider-Man the Animated Series when all the villains get busted out and they team up. I mean, it's something that's been done in many superhero stories.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. It's a classic trope for a reason. It's interesting. It's fun. You get to see all sorts of things happen.
And look at this hit list. We got the muscle guy. We got the leader of the mafia.
Mm-hmm.
And oh boy, the Stain himself.
Yes.
Indeed.
And who's this new girl? She cute. She cute. What's up with her? I'm interested.
We will see.
We will see. We will see. Yeah. I do, the thing is, it was kind of a bummer that one of the most recent episodes was like all recap, but I mean, there was a lot.
Yeah.
A lot that happened. So kind of understandable that they would do that. I think it also correlated with they took a break 1 week or 2 weeks in Japan.
Yeah, they did.
Well, they timed that well, I guess.
Indeed.
Perhaps. I mean, there's certainly aspects of this arc that feel like they got rushed. Yeah, let's talk about that. So there's a moment in one of these episodes where we call back to a time that should have happened in the villains arc that led up to this. And also we suddenly get the backstory for Compress. Oh yeah, by the way, he's handsome. Are you surprised? I definitely thought he'd be older, but I think that was just based on Kent Williams' performance. It's Kent Williams, right? I think it's Kent Williams.
Well, I agree with you. I think that should have happened in the My Villain Academia arc. Instead of it just being revealed just all in the middle of this battle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For him to have this face reveal. I'm like, yeah, that could have happened in the My Villain arc, but I don't know anything, so
it feels weird, right? Like, we're in the midst of a battle with high stakes, like he's nearly dead too, and then we just like get that where I wouldn't say it's comical, but it feels a bit lighthearted and misplaced.
We just had Dobby's big dramatic reveal, and suddenly, hey, me too, but mine's kind of nowhere near as impactful.
Yeah. I'm related to this character you've never heard of before.
Right. It's tough for us to be involved because, like, Dobby has been around for a while. We've been following Todoroki, like, the entire Todoroki family. So, like, that whole thing has a much bigger and more enjoyable payoff, despite how everyone knew. But like getting it finally to come out, it just made it a bit more like it was part of the main story. Where this feels like a throwaway, so it's like what was even the point of adding it?
Yeah.
It's a bit jarring, and that's true even in the manga. That's not something the anime did. That's just it's like, oh, I also have a lineage.
Somehow, I feel the mystery would have been better.
I tend to agree with you on
like,
that.
we didn't really need to know more about Mr. Compress. He was an interesting enough character on its own. And he's got a neat power. He's been with the villains for a long time. We didn't... While it is interesting to see where he came from, we didn't really, like... At least with Spinner and Twice and Toga, we have some semblance of an idea of why they joined the villains.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we don't get much with Spinner, but I get the feeling that this
keep watching that space.
Discrimination towards non-human looking people with quirks is gonna become a thing, which probably should have been a thing a long time ago at this point. But
it's going to be like their X-Men arc. You know what I mean? Like how mutants were discriminated toward against. It's going to head into that. It's all like, it's funny how you'd hear a lot of, you know, Western comic fans be like My Hero Academia, who like said anime bullshit. And it's like, this is literally taking the ideas from the Western comics that you deify into like anime form. I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, no, My Hero Academia is amazingly inspired by so many different American comics.
Yeah. But you're really seeing it at this point.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Definitely. Like the allusions to Civil War right here. Totally true. And now this mutants arc, as it were. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Definitely a little Marvel influence. And DC. Yeah, all the above.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget Spawn. We'll need a Spawn reference.
Somewhere. Somewhere.
I feel like the look of Stain is at least a bit inspired by Spawn.
Better idea. Get Keith David to voice a character in My Hero Academia and I'll be
Listen
good.
to me.
Now that...
I back this 3,000%.
That would be great. That would be great.
Shout out to Keith David.
Always. Now, it will be interesting to see how society handles the fallout of this situation. We also know that, like, people in the what is the organization that Hawks is involved with? Is it security something?
It's the
Oh gosh, it's something committee, and I'm feeling really dumb right now.
Yeah, it's like this, like
We're
special
all
commission or something like that. Yeah.
I just love Reed Destro's like, well, they obviously see the value of our technology and they'll work with us even though they know that we're trouble. Oh, that's how you thought it was gonna go. Well, it's a good thing that you're actually a clone made by Twice, because otherwise well, actually they would have had a much harder time dealing with the real deal.
Oh yes.
So it's good on that, but they suffered a lot of casualties because of that whole situation. So yeah, society, you know, they've had like press conferences after a big hero kerfuffle in this series before. You're gonna need a heck of a press conference after this one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a PR nightmare.
Especially for Endeavor.
Oh
yes.
boy.
And it's quite deserved.
It's quite deserved. But
yes, it is.
I find it very interesting that we have this character here who is... No one's going to question he deserves what he's getting. No one.
No one.
But I also find it fascinating that they're actually going through the process of him changing and coming to terms with what he's done and trying to be a better person. This is it's the secret redemption arc that's not. It's the redemption arc that actually makes sense, and the first one I've seen in a long time. Because a lot of times it's like, I was a bad guy. I murdered a bunch of your friends, but now I'm a good guy. Okay, Vegeta. This is I have to give it to Hero Academia here. I have to. We all hated Never. I'm included on this list, but I'm still compelled when I see him try. It's interesting, and it's really fun to watch this guy change and grow, but also not be like, oh yeah, you were an asshole, but that was in the past. No, they're making him pay for his sins, but it's fun to watch. This is how you do a redemption character.
Well, fuck him. Fuck Endeavor. That's how I feel.
I feel the same way, but gosh darn it, if even that guy can try and change, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I don't. It's it's conflicting when he finds out about Toya, and he's like, I searched for you. I searched for you so hard. All we could find was a mandible.
Yeah.
I thought you were dead for years. And you just have this moment like, maybe he wasn't all trash. But you know that after that fact, he goes on to just treat the rest of his family like garbage for years still.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes. Although it does not excuse a damn thing. I have to throw that out very clearly here, because whenever you're dealing with someone like this, there's no excusing any of this shit. But I found it interesting. He was a lot more caring outwardly towards his family before Toya died. Or quote-unquote died.
Mm.
And I think that trauma affected him. He maladapted. He absolutely maladapted. He is responsible for that. He is 100% like I'm saying, there's trauma there and that changed him. But he's still absolutely responsible for that. Speaking of, no, I'm sorry, freaking Dobby, you are responsible for you. Yes, Endeavor's a shithead. Yes, he did horrible things that I'm not going to forgive. I'm excited to see that that there's a character arc that's interesting here, but I'm not going to forgive him, and that I love that the show doesn't ask you to. I love that. Mm-hmm. But no, Dobby, Endeavor, as shitty as he is not responsible for you deciding I'm going to be a psychotic mass murderer. And I even, oh God, I noticed, well, no, I can't talk about that yet, never mind. Oh God. No.
It's killing me. I can't talk
I know.
about
I wanted to say
more.
Like, no, that hasn't aired yet. I can't talk about that. But I can still say Endeavor's responsible for Endeavor. Dobby's responsible for Dobby. Dobby's made his own choices here. Endeavor. It's not like Endeavor was like hanging out and like, you will kill people. I'm going to make you kill people. Yes, he suffered at the hands of Endeavor, and he shouldn't have. That doesn't excuse anything he's done.
All you gotta do is look at Shoto.
All you gotta do, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Shoto suffered probably more. Because, well, again, I can't talk about that. Damn it. Spoilers! Almost spoilers! All over this podcast.
Obviously, we should have waited a little longer to have this conversation. Yeah.
Well, just give a few more episodes, then we can really get into.
No, there's a much longer
the Todoroki family
behind this, but this is still something that's been beaten in my heart as the season's been going on. Is just both of these characters are fascinating. I hate them both, but they're both incredibly fascinating, and I love the way they're handling this.
Also, Dobby, I killed like 30 people. What, am I supposed to be impressed? Look, just because, like, first of all, it was probably the case that, Toya was definitely driven to make this mistake, but it was probably the case that Toya went off to train on his own, used too much of his fire, and that's why he almost died. It's still Endeavor's fault because he pushed his son to do that. However, you can't blame him for all of that. You made some bad choices too, even if you were a kid. But now, more so, you had the opportunity to not be a monster. You didn't have to be a monster, Dabi. You could have done better. You could have been better. But this is the path you chose. And that's not all Endeavor's fault. But Endeavor's still a piece of shit.
Yes. That's why, like, as I was ranting there, I had to make it clear because I don't want to. My rant could easily sound like Endeavor didn't do anything wrong, and that is not my argument. It is not my argument in the least. Endeavor did lots of things wrong, but it's still Dabi still made his own choices, and I will have a lot more to say on Dabi at a later date.
All right, well, I guess we shouldn't dwell on that too much longer. But, yeah, other things that... I will say this much, and I'm probably going to reiterate this at some point. It's good that they are... Well, it's debatable whether or not it is good that the author is trying to redeem Endeavor. You know what I'm saying? Like... It's an interesting thing to do, but at the end of the day, you might ask yourself, you didn't have to try to redeem this man.
You didn't have to, but I actually think it makes it a lot more interesting, because if you're going to redeem a character, you want a character that has to atone for something. And you don't want to do the Vegeta, I murdered all your friends, now I'm a good guy switch. You don't want to do that. You want to have someone who's got something to absolutely answer for. And it hasn't been, I was an asshole, now I'm a good guy. We've had a slow progression. A very slow. This is the most realistic change of personality I've ever seen for a redemption arc. And that's why I'm liking it. I still hate Endeavor because Endeavor's a shithead, but you know what? People change.
But did we have to see this one?
Well,
we can have...
It's a fair question.
Because I think the show would have been a lot more interesting if we just never really saw any type of redemption going on with Endeavor. So, as a viewer, it puts you in a moral kind of pretzel twist of like, do we actually want to cheer for Endeavor since he is trying to save the world, but yet we know what he's trying to do? And instead of seeing any type of hint of redemption, and we could just have it, kind of stay in the more insular type of like, I really don't like this character, but it makes it a lot more real when you're like, but do we root for him because he's fighting for justice as opposed to just fighting for the morally right all the time type of thing. I think it would be a much interesting dynamic for both the viewer and watching, right? And it's not so much, oh, I just want to trash Endeavor the whole time, but I think your Vegeta comp is a very wonderful like comparison of like, I don't want that because that just seems kind of silly, but yet like you're saying, murder a lot of people, and then it's like, oh, hey, I'm a good guy. Oh, okay, we'll just just put that under the rug. We're not gonna deal with it. And kudos to My Hero trying to like do something that I would say is kind of off the cuff that you don't normally see, but I don't necessarily know. I'm just thinking that having it where we don't have this redemption anyway, and I'm not saying like he couldn't be doing this, off camera, off screen, things along those lines, but like I think it would have been a much more emotional and impactful type of thing if we didn't have it, and then it forces the viewer to then make the decision on like what to
Dragon
do.
Ball comparison. Endeavor could have been like Frieza. Yeah, sometimes he's fighting to save our universe, but he's still trash. Completely and entirely.
Right, that's a little more, I would say, cartoonish, like more like the standard Doctor.
In that situation.
Oh, I'm evil, but I'm still going to help out for my own interests. I'm just talking straight up. we don't see any type of redemption efforts made by Endeavor, even though he might be doing it off screen and whatnot. And then as we watch, as like especially this arc unfolds, it's like, oh, I really don't want to root for him. But it's like, oh, so you're rooting for the villains then? It's like, oh, no, I don't want to do that. It puts the viewer in a very uncomfortable spot that I find a lot more real.
Well, and regardless, it's still an uncomfortable spot because he still did all those things, and it's not the redemption arc that he's going through is not we love this guy. Nobody's gonna say they love this guy, probably ever.
No, but it makes it a little easier, doesn't it? It makes it a little easier to stomach watching all the stuff, doesn't it?
Makes it a little easier, yes. And so I see what you're saying. I don't agree that I would want it that way, but I see what you're saying, and I definitely see value in what you're saying. I could definitely see that being interesting. I like this because nobody does this, especially in shonen. And I'm picking on Vegeta. I like Vegeta. He's a fun character. He does, he does have a character arc, but not this nuanced.
I think I honestly we could probably find examples of both of our examples being used, especially in shonen, but I certainly haven't seen recently of anything what I'm explaining either, which is why I think
that's true.
Putting the viewer in a more uncomfortable spot than because it's very easy to just shit on Endeavor and then you see all this and it's like, okay, he is trying despite being a shitty person. I'm curious how people would be reacting to this specific arc right now if we never saw any of that stuff. I'm very curious on that. So it's like, because that to me is like the most real thing we got. I think the best example of that is just war, right? Like it puts viewers in an uncomfortable, and I'm all for putting people in uncomfortable kind of positions when they're watching media of something, because why does it make you uncomfortable, right? And it explores types of things that I think are valid because they don't either get tickled a lot, like that interest, that intrigue, that philosophical kind of reasoning that we get within ourselves or even with others types of thing doesn't really get touched upon a lot. And I like that type of, I guess you could say, storytelling as well as nuance that I guess I find more enjoyable, because like I'll be honest, I prefer things where there's like no real clear good side, not necessarily just Gundam things, but I like when you have a story where it's up for the viewer to decide what side they want to go on, and that's a little more black and white than what I mean, but I like the type of kind of forcing the nuance onto the reader, viewer, the audience to be able to decipher what is at play here, more so than having it more clear cut as we're seeing with Endeavor, when he not only was terrible, we saw all that before, and then all of a sudden you see the efforts being made, you see how much the Dabi reveal impacted him, which made him more human, gave him more pathos, especially since we're like hearing, oh, I was looking for you, I thought you were dead all this time, how he was genuinely sad, understandably so, you're a kid and whatnot, but I think it would make a better overall product if we never really saw it, just to kind of make it so that for like you to have your type of like, oh, this would be like, think of this, like, Laser, what if after all this we never saw any type of redemption type of thing going on with Endeavor, and now we just saw all of this happening? So we have all this, it's like leading up, like, oh, he sucks, why are they working with him, he sucks. Then we see this, and then you might get a little bit of flashbacks and stuff, and it's like, oh my god, like I feel like the reveal of like his redemption during this,
it could have been a little more subtle. Yeah,
no. It would have been like, well, no, I don't even mean like subtle. I'm meaning like you get more of a complete picture at this point, instead of like leading up to it. I feel like that'd be such a mind blown thing that would be like they've been playing, and like you got and like you're saying as those subtle hints. It's like, oh my god, you're like, you get that type of reaction. I think that'd be a lot more fun. Or even if we didn't get it, I'd still be okay with it too. Just again, I like when people are uncomfortable with the media that they're watching, in a sense of it makes you think about whether it be yourself, society, all that type of stuff. Because I think My Hero Academia does a good job of kind of making you look at that. So
yeah,
that's my only kind of thing with the whole, when it comes to Endeavors, at least with what we're seeing now with how things are playing out. I'm curious, no one obviously asked for it, because like who cares about Endeavor like that, but I wish that, like, and personally I wish we just never had it, to make it a little easier, but I don't mind trying to make it a bit more muddied and convoluted to make the viewer kind of feel uncomfortable for it, because I think it's important. I think Endeavor's a good tale of the bad side of the job, of the heroes just a job, because after all, this is a job. And I think it's a good parallel. I think it's a good parallel because you see the All Might, who he's perfect. I don't know, I don't know how you're able to do it, because everyone has their faults, and he just seems, and the fact that you even have villains no, he's perfect. He is that dude. And so having
he's
kind
just
of
got a heart that's so big.
I think it works with All Might specifically because it's literally no one else, and we've all had that guy in our lives, one point or another.
So
or girl. Yeah, I'm not trying to gender it.
Oh yeah, no. It's just that All Might is.
I'll tell you what, though, Mirio's pretty close.
Mirio's pretty close.
Mirio.
Yeah, I could see this going from either, honestly, and it's an interesting debate, in my opinion. Was it better to redeem him or not?
I don't necessarily. I would rephrase that. It was better to try and redeem him, not actually, because there is no redemption for him.
Right,
there is none.
Right.
I would actually disagree with that, but only because if there's no redemption for that, then there's no redemption for anything. What is the redemption even for?
You're not far off on how I feel on that.
Okay. Well, if you don't believe in redemption, then sure.
Not. I think more of penance, I guess. So it's not necessarily a true redemption thing, but it's more
well, I mean,
you pay for your action.
Penance is part of redemption. You can't have one without the other, at least not effectively, as I've been kind of... That kind of goes into what I was trying to get at. The penance part of this is what makes it
Vegeta ain't got no penance.
Exactly!
No,
exactly!
To me, it's kind of just you can make a mistake of something, especially out of not knowing, because that's almost oh, okay, no, you didn't know, but this is a little different. I don't see much of any redemption for what Endeavor or others kind of in that type of category. So no, not really.
Okay, I mean, fair enough. I'm not saying that, and certainly anyone who was.
Oh yeah, no, I wasn't getting at it at all. I'm just you're making me think on that. I'm just kind of I guess not. I no, because once you kind of do something that I feel is irredeemable, I don't really come back. It doesn't come back. And that's a personal thing. So for me,
and there's no perfect answer for that. For me,
if I was in the My Hero Academia world, I would look at Endeavor. I hear him as the #1 hero, and I would probably join the League of Villains right after that. Be if this is what society wants, society's wrong.
See, for me, I would argue, if there's no coming back from that, you're not giving anyone a chance to become better people, which means you're permanently locking people into being that. And I don't think that's right.
But no, but there are limits.
Well, there are limits. There are limits.
I say, I go with the kind of thing of didn't know, needed to be a little better educated on something. No, I could see that. I could see, being and for Endeavor, if with the first child and it's oh wait, this is kind of what it should be and you realize, oh wait, I was being a little too hard, I need to kind of ease up, and then obviously things went spiraling out of control later, and if someone else was like that, be okay, yeah, spiraling, it's okay, I got to take a step back, I got to be better and things like that, but I don't know, there's some things that I can't really let go on that, especially if it's a dastardly thing.
I don't think you should. I don't consider redemption a clean slate. I consider redemption a new start, but not a clean slate, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, oh, yeah, yes. No, I'm. This is more thinking about how I look at it.
Yeah, no, that's
at least
fair.
Intrinsically, because I never really thought about it, and no, I don't think I have that. I really don't, because at least in my life, as soon as you do something heinous, nah, you out. I want nothing to do.
Oh, and
there's been others where it's
when you're dealing with person to person, that is completely legitimate. You do not need to let someone back into your life who's done horrible things to you.
Well, right. No. But I mean, I might not even know, it might be like someone famous, like, you know how I'm saying like Endeavor.
Right.
Like I don't know Endeavor, but like I'd probably be like, nah, there's nothing that they could any do. And when I think of like other examples, whether it be like someone famous that did something wrong, it's like, no redemption for me. Nah, like sorry, once is enough. I'm out. That type of thing.
Yeah,
so I'm that's what made me. I was like thinking, where it's just like, and then it's like, no, that's kind of on par with how I've been, you know, with public figures, I guess, because that's what these heroes are.
They are. They
I will give the heroes more credit because they do, you know, risk their life. You know what I mean? Like they're being heroic, those types of things.
Yeah.
And this is obviously like, it would be like, oh, well, so what would you say about Superman and did that? Be like, yeah, I'd probably feel the same way. You know what I mean? It's just one of those types of things where it's like I get the difference of that as opposed to like a celebrity who does nothing but collect money. So that's kind of, and like some of the heroes actually do that, which is again wonderful commentary about, you know, society and what we prop up, that type of thing. But like I say, there's obviously differences just because the heroes are like look at what they were doing in this recent arc, like evacuating, saving people, having a triage right there. You know what I mean? Like they were working right alongside emergency workers on that. Like I get that. But yeah, no, just thinking about like oh, then can anyone redeem themselves? And I was like, I guess not. And so I was just like thinking like, no, I guess not.
I mean, if that's your answer, that's your answer.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's a healthy thing to do to have a healthy society, but I mean, I can't.
No. Oh, 100%. I don't condone everyone to follow what I'm doing on that 100%. I'm just like, it was more so to answer your question, and then I was kind of like,
no, I mean, this is great. This is really.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right on that.
I guarantee you, people listening are going to fall on either side of what we're saying. Guarantee you, this is probably an even divide.
Maybe. I don't know. I never really like thought of it, but that's again what My Hero Academia does, kind of.
Yes, absolutely.
Makes you think, because like the parallels not only with properties like DC and Marvel, but parallels with how society works with, you know, heroic figures, celebrity, that type of thing. Because like I say, you get both, right?
Absolutely.
You'll have heroes that are more like PR type. Not to say that they're bad, because they also do things that are heroic too, but obviously they have their PR kind of thing as well. All Might actually is a great example of that, doing both. But like he was definitely a PR hero. Like you can't change.
Oh yeah.
I actually, here's my hot take. I think that was the right thing to do, because All Might wasn't just trying to save lives by saving lives. He was also trying to change the world that he was in. He had to do that to change, to do anything.
He was the symbol of peace.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I don't think that's a hot take. I agree. I'm just saying that I wanted to be, I guess, fair in how I was labeling certain heroes kind of thing, because I know some might be like, oh, what are you trying to say? It's like, no. All Might was the quintessential PR hero. He just also worked his ass off for that too. But like, you look at any of the top 10 heroes, they're all PR heroes just as much. Like, there's a reason they're top 10 for a reason. Because if you wanted to pick squarely on heroic deeds, Aizawa would be number 2. Like, come on, you know what I'm saying? So like,
absolutely,
it is a popularity contest. Like, let's not kid ourselves with it. It's just some who take it seriously enough, go above and beyond to also be the kind of symbol that their ranking and their kind of thing portrays. You know, kind of like the opposite of One Punch Man, where they try to get the ranking just for the PR stuff. At least the lower ones try to. I don't necessarily know how S-class heroes, all of them feel. Some are like that, but not all. But it's kind of those kind of things where I wanted to make sure that it was clear that All Might falls in that category too. Doesn't make it bad. I'm just saying that he does fall into it. That's all.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It really makes you question, and I just kind of feel like the story has not very well explored this angle. But if somebody like Stain and other villains feel like the heroes are doing wrong by society, that they are just being celebrities, we don't see nearly enough of that side of the heroes to really have an opinion on it, which I think would be good to explore.
Yes, 100%. I agree.
Because it just kind of feels like a baseless argument.
and one that people only saw because of like Mount Lady for the first episode, right? And so you can't base that whole opinion just on that one scene in like the first episode where she's like, "Ooh, make sure you get my good side," type of thing, right? Because like you'll also have other heroes like Kamui Woods, who's like, I see them as someone who's genuinely heroic, who actually cares, you know. And then you can have I don't know, like it almost feels like Endeavor just wanted to be the top hero just to say he was the best. So to me, that looks more like a superfluous thing than actually being heroic, as opposed to where you look at Mirko, who no, I actually see someone who is actually heroic, who is deserving of the notoriety because of what they're able to do for society. And so it's like we get kind of that hint of there is type of celebrity status. Like even one of the heroes that was during the disaster is like, I think I'm going to quit. That to me is like, this is your job, my guy. You chose this life. So it's like, that was someone who clearly just wanted to be in just for the fame and notoriety. You know what I mean? And
well, let me down that back there a little bit there, Chief, because when you have a quirk, you're not allowed to use it unless you're a hero. Or some other certain circumstances.
Yeah, but that would also imply, what if I didn't want to use it?
Yeah. Yeah, but the thing is, when you have a certain quirk, you're kind of thrust into that kind of life, whether you like it or not, or you just ignore that you have this ability to help people.
Yeah.
So, to be fair to that one guy, we don't really know his story. Yeah. He might not have been in it for the glory or anything, but he maybe never realized exactly what he's going to be dealing with.
I have a bad, like, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth where so far, like during All Might's tenure of all this peace and how crime was low and things like that, things were easy. And then you have a legitimate natural disaster, like one of the worst things to happen in this world probably ever, and that's when you move out, when it's like, oh, so when it gets tough you want to go, like, you know, the creed when you sign up for it. And so leaving during that time, I find very, very poor taste. You know what you're signing up for with that. Just like for me, as an example, I work in news, like, and not fluff news. If it bleeds, it leads. There is so much truth to that. You don't then have me complain, oh, why are we doing this story? I knew what I signed up for. I can't complain about that. If I don't like it, then I shouldn't have been in it to begin with. That type of thing. So I just
we don't know if that guy actually quits.
True. But like I say, just seeing that, I was just like, that's a real bad.
I understand the moment of weakness, if nothing else.
Yes. No, you can have hey, all of a sudden you see that, like, man, this is not good. Like, you can have that moment. You can cry. You can, just break down and do everything. It's what you do afterwards, your actions afterwards, that type of thing. Especially when you're into this life and go forward with being a hero and collecting the fame, notoriety. Even if that wasn't your main goal, it does still happen. So I am like, kind of just like, if you're not gonna go in during that, where we need every single body to help save even just one extra life, oh no, that to me was like, no, get him out, what a fraud.
You gotta wonder what was going through Ochako's head when she saw that.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame her if she wanted to back on out after seeing all that too, especially as a young, adolescent, seeing all that death and injury. Like
that was terrible.
I have no qualms with, young children who are trying for this, profession, being like, maybe this was a mistake, because they still have their lives ahead of them.
Yeah.
So by all means, I have no issue if like a student was like, oh, I think I'm good after this. Like, what would you, like, if I was a teacher and all of a sudden half of the class was like, I don't want to do this anymore after, seeing Midnight. Oh my God, I would like be like, let's get them grief counseling. Like, they don't have to do it. Like, get them all the help they need. Like, I totally get that. That's
my teacher's leg is gone.
True. That one is like we'll get them a prosthetic or some sock puppets or something. I don't know, but it's one
they
of
can
those.
probably grow him a new leg.
I hope so. But it's more so in a sense of just like that to me is a little different because they're still obviously young and trying to get into the field, and after seeing that, it's like, all right, you saw the worst of the worst. You saw how bad it can get.
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure you want to keep going? And it's like, no. And it's like, yeah, then by all means, leave. If you cannot stomach this is not for you. Just like I say, for anyone who's ever interested in working in my type of field, if after like a day of like a big breaking news story and you're just like crying and like just like bawling your eyes out, this isn't for you. You got to go because you can't take that with you. You will not be able to survive. Like the same thing with like dentists. Do you know that like apparently dentists are one of the highest rated like suicides? Because everyone's like, oh yeah, right. And it's crazy because like I love going to the dentist, but that's so rare. And so they deal with how people don't like seeing them and things along those lines and all like it's a very fascinating study. So it's almost as like if you're not able to handle that type of, sentiment, I would say go into another field, like please, that type of thing. Like I don't want you to go into something that you're going to regret, that type of thing. So when you're young and you're able to kind of make that choice, but then after you like collected everything, kept it on going, now it's like things got hard. It's like, come on now, you knew what was coming. You should be all right with this. So it's just kind of like, man.
Yeah. And the other thing that I wanted to touch on regarding this story arc, and maybe towards My Hero Academia as a whole, boy, it's not kind to its female characters.
Ooh, no, it is not.
In multiple respects, we have Midnight, sacrifice, death, mostly off screen. Come on. Miriko fights like the devil and gets absolutely destroyed. I mean, she's still alive, but she's missing a lot of limbs.
Yes.
And then we already touched on just kind of the not really effective use of Ochako and Sue and Nejire too. Nejire, she helps a little, but and the dragon lady, I forget her name off the top of my head. She helps a bit too. But yeah, just how did Mount Lady become the MVP of the females?
I have no idea because it should be Mirko.
Well, Mirko's definitely the MVP, but but good on Mount Lady. But it was very amusing being like, I haven't had to drag a guy since high school. So whatever she said, or chase after a guy since I don't. It was funny, but she also proved that in these dire situations she can be effective. And she's very strong.
Very.
Not just big, but also very strong. Yeah. I mean, it's awesome that Miriko just wrecked up that lab and she fought like crazy. But I was like, did we really have to maim her that much in this one fight? I mean, she's
like barely
had any screen time.
Yeah.
At least Midnight's been around for seasons. Though
that's true.
Rarely seen, all things considered.
Though I will say, Mirko definitely gave a showing. Like, no one's gonna forget her.
Yeah.
No one's ever gonna forget her.
For
She
sure.
probably has my favorite quirk. Because I like the more, I guess, hand-to-hand combat type of stuff, and her abilities being obviously, enhanced like a rabbit, so strong legs, able to jump, kick like really hard, like fight, you'd like actually fight. So like I really, really enjoy that type of archetype when it comes to like, whether it be an anime or just like a hero type of thing. I'm always a big fan of it and thinking like, oh, enhanced, so be able to do things that a rabbit can do really quickly. Like, so she can obviously move real quick, agile, being able to, hop from spot to spot. Like I like that. I think that's really it's basic, obviously, because you don't have like the crazy powers of like a JoJo fighter, obviously. But sometimes basic can be good,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
it's simple but effective, And I just like I say, like for me, like something that I really enjoyed with her was like when she hopped from spot to spot before like people could like really get a hold of her. I was like, no, that's cool. Like it's almost like the flash step from Bleach. So like to me, I always like that effect. Like where all of a sudden you saw like multiple copies of someone because they're moving too fast. She could do the same thing with the ways that she hops. So I'm like, yeah, no, that's badass. I love that. That's probably my favorite quirk so far.
It's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie.
Awesome.
She was indeed awesome, and I hope we get to see her be awesome again.
Getting her limbs back like Aizawa.
Yeah.
Grown back. Yes.
I mean, they got powers that can do that, right?
Maybe.
Well, maybe Eri can do it. I don't know.
Oh. Sweet jelly bean.
But Eri can't bring back Twilight. I mean, Night Eye. That's his name.
For a second, I'm like, why would she bring back a book series?
Oh, Night Eye.
Good.
I miss Night Eye.
Good question.
The world may never know.
Yeah. I guess he was just too OP to live. At least in ways.
God damn it. Can you do that to Kirito, please?
Oh.
Well, now there's two Kiritos. How are you going to kill them both?
You pit them against each other so they both die because they're both too OP.
Or I just leave.
Just leave, yeah.
Oh, gosh. Nothing has ever turned me against the series harder than Alicization did. Whew. I used to really like Sword Art Online until that season.
All I can say is those recent progressive movies are probably the best way to experience SAO. If you're gonna.
I kid you not. I was in a panel where people were cheering about a Sword Art Online thing that didn't have Kirito in it, and the panel asked, well, wait, why do you guys like this so much? And the whole room in unison said, because Kirito isn't in it. I think it was for Gun Gale Online.
God.
Well, yeah. SAO has some interesting concepts that other writers, much better writers, can do a lot more with.
A fucking man. And while we be disparaged on how My Hero Academia treats its female characters, at least it's better than Sword Art Online.
At least its female characters get more than, hey, here's a cool story arc. Okay, bye.
Exactly. Well, no, we get that in My Hero Academia too, but at least we have ones that you don't.
But CJ, just to play into your favorites. But it's not as good as Black Clover does it, right?
Nope.
Well, nothing beats Black Clover at that.
I will say this. I feel like there's another series that's been on Toonami that does it even better than Black Clover.
Oh? Do tell.
Oh, I think Assassination Classroom does it better.
Oh, that's a good argument. Assassination Classroom does a very good job of that. You're right.
Not so much the anime, but the manga. But the anime is okay. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a manga only with that. But I read the entire manga. It was one of my favorites. And I think it did a really good job with that. I think it really did. So than Black Clover. And I love
that is something that we should explore
on
some other time before we've some other time when we haven't already talked for like 2 hours.
Yes, I think it would be a wonderful topic for Kuro, Umeko, and Celia to discuss who did it better.
Let's dig into that.
Oh, yes. Please do. Well, any other lingering thoughts about these episodes of My Hero Academia? I think we've explored
There's only
a
one
lot.
thing I have. I really wish they didn't have Midnight's last image. Is that was so dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They really did her dirty.
But like, we get that she's a quote unquote rated R hero, but like she's about to die, and you're gonna have it like I remember when we tweeted that, and like the amount of horny on Maine, I was like, that's. I love her too. She was my waifu in this series.
And then the response is those who don't know, those who know.
Yeah, and it's just like. I really wish that camera angle just didn't show that at all. We could have just saw her face; it would have been just as fine. It probably
Again, My Hero Academia. Who do you think you are? Sword Art Online?
Yeah, I just that one really bugged me, and I think I'm a little more peeved of it just because like A, she's dead, and B, that she was like the one that I like. She
was one of their
chose.
Mentors.
Yeah, so that's my only thing. Like, I get it. Oh, CG being such a prude. Don't get me wrong. I love the anime titty. I prefer it in a context of where someone isn't about to die, I guess. Oh.
Yeah, we're not into mixing those lanes, okay?
Yeah, like I love High School of the Dead. I will rewatch that series at a moment's notice. Do not care. They have a literal sniper rifle pistol going through the cleavage of a woman. I get it. Anime titty, great, but like, there's a time and place.
Agreed.
Like, you don't see me like watching that at 10 in the morning and like completely losing myself in my life.
I believe the phrase is context is the key.
Yeah. I watch it when it's like late and like there's nothing on, and I'd rather just turn the brain off,
I'm stuck on anime titty. That's what I'm stuck on right now. I'll be okay. Go ahead.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. Yeah.
But don't forget to give the booty the respect it deserves.
All right, Dandy.
That's right.
Booty.
That's right. Give the booty the respect it deserves. Fat Gum sure did.
He did. He did.
Well, I suppose that's debatable with this reaction. Smothered by the mountain. Well, if you have any thoughts on My Hero Academia or other things, you can email us at podcast@toonamifaithful.com. And with that, we will go through the regular spiel. You can follow us on Facebook.com/Toonami Faithful Podcast and on Twitter @Toonami Podcast. You can listen to the podcast on just about everything, including Apple Podcasts, Castbox, Deezer, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Overcast, Podbay, Podbean, Podcast Addict, Radio.com, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. I almost made it the whole way without a breath. You should find everything that we every podcast episode to stream online at soundcloud.com/Toonami Faithful Podcast. And you can get the latest news by following @Toonami News on Twitter and read the news, views, and reviews on ToonamiFaithful.com. And there's also the Toonami Faithful Pass on patreon.com/Toonami Faithful. And when you subscribe to it, you get some exclusive perks, though we've not been doing much in the way of that lately. We should probably get on that. But if you are one of our faithful Patreon subscribers, we greatly appreciate that. Well, I guess we can get out of here. So, Umeko, tell us where they can find you.
All right. You can find me on Twitter @BLU_temptation.
I tried to search for you on Twitter, and it really had a hard time finding you.
Oh, why?
I don't know why. Like, I don't know. I guess there's a lot of people with similar handles that Twitter was recommending instead. And I'm like,
they should stop it. Stop it.
There's so many things wrong with Twitter, and that is among them.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying. Maybe it was just the mobile app giving me grief that day. I don't know.
Yeah.
It can be that way.
Yes, it can.
Laser, tell us where they can find you.
Well, you can find me on Twitter @LaserKid Prime. You can find my Toonami focused editorials right here on Toonami Faithful. And you can frequently find me on guest on V-Lord's many podcasts, the Demon Slayer podcast and the Dumb Weeds podcast most commonly, but many of his, as we jokingly say, podcast universes.
Mm-hmm. And CJ, tell them where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at CJ Maffris, and believe me, if you're in the Toonami fandom, you don't try to find me. I'll come to you. Believe me, you already know who I am. So no need to even worry about that. Other than that, you'll see our weekly editorials this week from Toonami. It will happen this weekend, but the next weekend it will be on break for 1 week. I will be in Charlotte. More on that potentially if good things come out of it. But other than that, you will find me on Twitter if I'm ever giving hot takes, bad takes, great takes, whatever you may feel it is. Oddly enough, Sketch, I have to say this now. Remember how I used to be, or how a lot of negative people would be like, man, you can't say anything bad about the block anymore with CJ around. Why is it then I'm now saying bad things about the block, and now it's like everyone's like, oh, he's just doing that to get points with us? Fuckers, I never wanted your points to begin with. Get the fuck out of here.
What bad things are you saying about the block?
Well, I certainly haven't really enjoyed their acquisition of Food War Season 5. I'm not a fan of the double My Hero Academia, personally. I'm not a fan of Primal continuing to rerun there. If you were going to keep a rerun, I probably would have kept Dragon Ball Super. There's been a lot of things that they've done that I don't necessarily agree with. But again, it's like, oh, now he wants to get points with us. Like, motherfucker, I don't want anything from y'all. You have bad takes anyway. You suck. Get good.
It's just too bad that none of those trolls are actually going to hear this.
I hope they do. By all means. Y'all
gotta
suck.
cut out the segment and just put it like on Twitter by itself.
Right?
Put it on TikTok.
Right?
CJ spilling tea.
Oh, actually, you know what? That's not a bad TikTok thing for our podcast. I am not gonna lie. I would love that. That might actually be a good one because it's provocative. I swear. Fuck all the doomsday people. I will keep going on and on. I do not care.
And they're just going to hear me laughing.
I have been hearing that this block is going to die since 2017. And we are still here.
I've been hearing that this block's going to die since 2002.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I don't know why I felt the need to say it, but you know what? It felt good. Fuck y'all, you suck.
When is Toonami a failed experiment circuit? Well, I think that was 98.
It was 98 because I remember I didn't quite have full access to it yet. It was just on satellite for my folks at the time, and I wanted to write and be like, "No, it's not a mistake. It's not a mistake," but I couldn't catch the address in time.
Oh, well, thankfully it stuck around for several more years.
Mm-hmm.
Are we sure about that? That's not what I've been hearing on the timeline.
Yeah, right.
I still
for all
think it's
I know,
amazing that we've been back longer than it was ever gone.
For all I know, it's just like regular Adult Swim, and they just changed up the packaging from all I hear. So, like, by all means. And again, it's funny because, like, I haven't enjoyed the moves that they've been doing, but, like, here we are.
What did they think Toonami was? Not packaging? I'm so confused.
No. That's me being.
I know. That's my commentary back at that.
Yeah. I like being an ass to Doomsday people. It's nice. It's cathartic.
It was the wrappings and the atmosphere is what made it Toonami. The shows could have aired anywhere.
Listen.
But they had the good sense to air them where they did and when they did it.
Listen. Don't let logic get in the way of a bad take, Sketch.
Of course. Of course.
And remember, kids, don't drink bleach.
Watch it on your TV instead.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty bad for your health.
Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah, I guess I didn't do my thing yet. Hey, you can find me on Twitter at Sketch1984 and cooking up some articles for ToonamiFaithful.com.
Oh, I do have that. I will get to it after Charlotte, I promise.
Oh, okay.
Did it need to be sooner?
Nah.
Okay.
Well, I don't know.
When's
I'd like to have
the
it
date you want
before the end of March, preferably.
Oh, okay. So I'm gonna have to do that. Okay.
I don't think it'll be too much. At least I'm hoping not.
Yeah, same. Okay, I will get on that ASAP.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, but there's that, and there's other things, and yeah, we have plenty more things to discuss on the podcast in the coming months. Hopefully, we'll have more things to talk about regarding what Toonami will be airing. We don't know what the rope map is. We just do not know, other than the fact that Food Wars is back, and we're all contemplating whether it's a good thing.
Oh no.
It's not good. It has nothing to do with the dubbing, so don't be weird, people.
No, it's just a not great story arc that is made worse by adapting it to an anime that is too fast. That's a summary, but I'm sure we'll get some amusement out of watching it. I prefer to be displeased at something more than just like have no feeling towards it. So I don't know. But if anyone were to feel apathy towards Food Wars Season 5, I couldn't blame them. Yeah. It is whatever it is. And yeah, it is strange that they keep doubling up My Hero Academia. Is there a reason? We don't know.
I have theories.
It is madness.
We just don't know.
Theories.
I would say that maybe they're doing it so that they could line up something else, but they would have to be trying to line up two things.
Right. It would be creating the same problem we've had for the past. I don't even know.
Yeah.
But we can say that for another. But I do have a theory on that. So
I would be interested to hear it. But
it's not very interesting, I will say that, but
I get to decide whether or not it's interesting.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
You're talking to a guy that comes up with like fake schedules for years and years of television, and I find that fascinating.
I actually would agree with you on that.
Lately, I've been contemplating, what if Toonami moved to Adult Swim before 2012? Like back in 2003. Or 2002 even.
Oh man, that would be really interesting.
It would be. It would have been a way different reality.
Oh yes.
Probably. Mm-hmm. Who knows? But it is fun to think about. And, all the other things that could have potentially been different because of it. Because, yeah, a lot of things could be. Yeah. Just something I've been contemplating lately. Completely unnecessarily, on top of all the things that are important that I'm contemplating. Maybe I'm using it as a coping mechanism for all that other stuff. I don't know. Yeah, probably.
I can't judge you. I'm the guy who's sitting here and has had long thought out plans on, okay, what would have happened if Sony did make the Super Nintendo CD?
I've also wondered that.
Oh no, I'm not alone.
I think the long of the short is Nintendo would have been screwed.
I mean, that is kind of the conclusion I came to as well.
Because, like, the software sales were where all the money was going to be.
Yep.
And Sony was going to get all of that. So, yeah, it wasn't a good deal.
Yeah. People don't talk about that when they talk about it. They're like, oh, Nintendo screwed Sony. It's like, yeah, because Sony's going to screw them.
Yeah, it's it's not one-sided there at all.
No, all sides are acting badly. That's the way that looks to me.
Yes, and perhaps all sides are acting badly, and that's the reason why Toonami can't get a freaking show.
Oh, All Sight's acting badly is also a good description of Hero Academia right now.
Oh, wow. Looping it back around.
Yeah.
Have to.
Trying.
Yeah. But if you're hungry for more Sentai content that is free to watch, and most of it dubbed, you can check out the High Dive channel on Plex. It's free with ads.
I actually didn't know that existed, and I definitely use Plex. I'm noting that.
Yeah, seeing as we've been kind of lamenting the fact that there's so many great Sentai shows that could be on Toonami, well, a lot of them are on there now. Along with a bunch of shows that, frankly, would have aired on Toonami anyway, like Pet Girl of Sakura So, which is a wonderful show, but I just can't imagine Toonami playing something slice of life like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gotta have kind of a sci-fi or fantasy angle, I think. But I don't know. Desperate times, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what they do. Anyway, we've done all of our intros, and we're just this, like, we just like talking. That's
kind of how it works around here.
This is just, we're just enjoying each other's mouth noises around here.
Oh no, there's that again.
Actually, I don't like mouth noises in particular. Clicks and yeah, that kind of stuff. I try to edit all that stuff out because it drives me crazy. So please don't do that. There are certain people that are not on this podcast that are regular offenders of that.
So you're saying I shouldn't go?
Yeah, please don't.
I'm sorry.
Seriously, the lip smacking thing is just
oof.
Ugh, I hate it. I try to edit it out when I can because it just. So that's a little look into my editing process, which is honestly not very thorough these days.
Editing is legitimately hard.
I have the hardest time just timing a transition to music, just trying to make it sound right to me. Just moving it a little, moving it back, moving it a little, moving it back. Just
I feel that for the few times I edited the Demon Slayer podcast. That was fun.
And that's not even accounting for any time we have to fix something, but
Oh boy.
Enough about that. Enough shop talk. Yeah. Thank you for listening to this podcast. We hope you enjoyed this lengthy conversation where we dived into all kinds of things about this season of My Hero Academia. I think we all had a good time talking about it. So we hope you enjoyed listening. And as always, thank you for listening to all the episodes of the podcast that you do. And be sure to share it with your friends and, spread the love. We'd love to have more listeners. We'd love to have you share the podcast if you enjoy us. Share what you enjoy. It's a good thing.
Oh, yes.
So until next time, thank you for listening. And we're punching out.
Well, Ben always said, with great fan service comes great responsibility.
He read that on the back of a hooker.
Parts and service?
Hello.
Hey, this is the Absolution. We're ready. Can we get 2 of the Talon STs?
Oh, I thought you guys were gonna go for those Harbor.
Hey, the people have spoken. We need a pair of the STs.
Oh, yeah, well, it's gonna take a while, though.
Whatever.
Alright, I'll get the bots over there right away.
Well, I guess it's time to head out. You ready?
Yes. New engines are online.
I can't wait to open these babies up.
Absolution, you're cleared for launch.
Acknowledged.